Here we're going to talk about leaps in second species. As you may have noticed, second species is leapier than first species. We still want a singable line. We don't want it to feel leapy, but because we've got almost twice the number of notes, we can accommodate more leaps without them feeling like they're taking over. We can have more leaps, and we have time to make them because we're not moving too quickly yet. When we move into third species and we're writing quarter notes, we'll restrict leaps again because we don't have time to make so many leaps. But here, it's not moving so quickly. We have the time for the leaps, so more leaps, more larger leaps. Notice especially the use of the octave leap, especially the descending octave, especially from a weak beat, from the strong beat into a weak beat, very idiomatic in second species, a nice thing to do. Another aspect of freedom is that, as we'll see, there are cases in which from downbeat to downbeat, we're going to use two consecutive leaps in the same direction. That's not something we did in first species. There is one thing that you want to be careful about with the leaps and pay particular attention to, and that is that when you leap into a strong beat, you want to make sure to change direction afterwards, as for example happens right there. That leap into a strong beat, boy, that's a change of direction. That followed by the octave leap down. Now, one of the things that I particularly like about the Salzer and Schachter textbook that I think is especially helpful throughout, really, they're giving much more than just the cut and dried rules. They're giving a lot of musical insight, how to make counterpoint as musical as possible, and especially how to sensitize your ear to the different effects that are possible. This comes out especially in talking about second species, because instead of simply saying, well, now you've got twice as many notes, have fun, doodle around in half notes for a while, they give you specific patterns. They talk about specific functional patterns that you can use. So you have a toolkit to deal with these extra notes that you're writing, so you can use them with purpose. So the first of these is that you can partially fill in a leap of a fourth or a fifth. So say you have a leap from downbeat to downbeat. And notice often we're thinking in terms of motion from downbeat to downbeat and how to get between two downbeats that were already set. So say we have a leap of a fourth or a fifth. We can fill that in with sort of partial incomplete passive motion, which is to say the combination of a leap and a step. We see that here in the lower counterpoint. We're leaping a fourth downbeat to downbeat and filling it in. So 1, 3, 4, that 1, 4 is filled in 1, 3, 4. Up here, ba, 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 ba. So 1, 5, 6, 7, 4, 3, 7, 4, 3, 7, 3. We've got that leap of a fifth, 7, 4, 3. And we fill it in, partial passive motion. The fifth, partially filled in. That's done with a fourth or with a fifth, as it says in your notes. The next thing that we may do is arpeggiate a larger leap. This is the consecutive leaps in the same direction. We don't have an example of that in either of these, but I've put this up on the board, and I will play that. Notice how this motion of a sixth from downbeat to downbeat is broken into two leaps. Whatever it may be after that. Notice a couple of things about this. First of all, of course, the individual leaps need to be consonants. Those need to be consonant leaps. And recall here, the perfect fourth as a melodic interval is a consonance, as a vertical interval is a dissonance. So that's two consonant leaps. But also the overall leap, that large leap that you understand, you hear ba-dee-da-ba-da, that larger leap must also be consonant. In this case, it's a major sixth. Finally, you need to treat this as a large leap. So as a sixth leap is going to have to change direction and even go back by step, and it does that. Ba-da-dee-da-da. So after that big leap, treating it as if it's one leap of a sixth, it goes back up by step. The next thing that we do is to change register. So a larger leap, which is to say either a sixth or an octave. We're not going to leap a seventh because that's a dissonance. So it's not something you want to use a lot in an exercise, but it's a very nice thing to use once, maybe twice. We have two of them in this upper exercise. So this leap up here of the minor sixth, we've been in this register. Such a large leap changes register. Into the climax, and another register change, now with the octave. Back into that lower register that we've been using. And again, of course, change of direction after those big leaps. Another thing that is possible, and this is, we can do this for a variety of reasons, sometimes just for variety. You have the option of the passing tone. So here is a consonant passing tone, connecting those two consonances on the strong beats. Let me just play that. So it's possible to replace the passing tone with a leap of a fourth. So instead of taking the direct path, I overshoot the note I want to go to and then go back by step. So that can be a nice thing to do if you've had a lot of stepwise motion and you want some more variety. Also just kind of changes the dynamics of the line. Always think of these lines as if you're riding a roller coaster on them. It has an up and down dynamic. And if it gets into a place that feels jumbled or you haven't set up a sweep the way you want it to go, this kind of thing can redirect the energy of the line. Of course, since we're leaping to this note, it has to be a consonant. So this is something you can only do at certain places in the exercise, depending on the relationship with the cantus firmus. Let me play this as it is now. So what we used to have was, and now we have. There can also be cases in which this is kind of a lifesaver. Suppose that had been our cantus firmus. That melody line we had originally would of course have parallel fifths. The parallel fifths go away if we use the leap of the fourth, followed by stepwise motion back. Another thing that we can do is to decorate overall stepwise motion from downbeat to downbeat. So what happens, so this happens numerous times in this example. In the lower counterpoint, it happens here, for example. So there's da dee dee da ba da, overall step da dee da. So overshoot, go in the direction you want to go, but by a third, and then come back by a step. So you have overall motion of a third. Ba dee da 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 dee da. Same effect right there. Okay. We get something similar in the upper one. Da 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 dee da dee da. Right there. And then a more unusual use of the same thing, or something similar, I should say. I'll take it down an octave. Da 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 dee da 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 ba. The overshooting would have taken us up to a B flat, which would actually be out of range. Da dee da. So instead, da dee da. Go down to a consonant, leap to a consonant, not too far, a third or a fourth, depending on which way you're going, up or down. A third leap and a fourth leap back to back as a way of getting between two notes a step apart in consecutive downbeats. Da dee da dee 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 dee. by the way, I've warned you about the hit and run climax, leaping in, leaping away. But here, ba-da-da-dee, we know we've gotten to that G as the main note. Da-da-da-da, we've been in the general vicinity of the climax. Da-da-dee, da-dee. So the fact that we skipped down to this note isn't so significant. We've been right by the climax. We've been very near it. Da-da-dee, da-da, da-dee-dee. And then we're free to really leap far away. So the idea that you want to have some notes, the climax shouldn't be isolated all by itself up in this high register. You want to be kind of near it, either before it or after it. And yeah, fine, that's that. The final thing that we may do is similar to this, and that's a decoration of a repeated note. So here, something like a consonant neighbor tone. You don't want to do this too frequently, but let's just suppose, let me rewrite a bit of this. Suppose that for some reason we wanted consecutive Ds on those downbeats. So then we kind of have to tread water. And this is part of the reason we don't want to do this too often. The line is not really moving between those two downbeats. We're finding a way to kill some time. And we can do that by moving by step, so long as we've got a consonants available. So obviously, the only place where we've got consonants by step are where it's fifths and sixths. I couldn't have gone down. If I'd gone down, that would have been a perfect fourth. That would be a dissonant neighbor note, which is not allowed in the second species. So if you do this kind of neighboring figure, make sure it's a consonant neighbor.